It's the beginning of September, which means the new Spellbinders Kit Clubs of the Month are available. And if you missed the Wax Seal Kit of the Month or the BetterPress Kit of the Month, now's the time to sign up right away before they sell out again. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video I'll be sharing that new Wax Seal Kit Club of the Month, the BetterPress Kit Club of the Month, the Glimmer Kit of the Month, Embossing Folder and 3D Embossing Folder of the Month, the Small Die, and the Quick and Easy Card Kit of the Month. That's a lot, so let's jump right in and I'll share those new supplies as we go. The Quick and Easy Card Kit of the Month this month is called the Fun Life. There's, of course, foam squares and a tape roll, sequins, and plenty of die cuts. There's also puffy stickers with phrases and puffy words. There's 6x6 pattern paper in a bunch of fun colors and designs. There's also a chipboard sticker set. You get 2 sheets. Some are words and others are images. There's also several sheets of cardstock cut into A2 so that you can get 4 of each color. So all of these cards were created in less than 5 minutes. That's what the Quick and Easy Card Kit is all about. So for one card, I have cardstock over pattern paper and a couple of chipboard stickers and add in a couple of puffy stickers. These little hearts are great little embellishments for cards, and this comes together just so quickly and easily because there's no stamping or die cutting or anything else in these card kits. It's all embellishments and paper and just putting things together. The great thing about it is that you can make a bunch of cards in a number of minutes. Here I have the pattern paper on some cardstock matted down, and then a puffy sticker with a phrase and a chipboard sticker, and then a couple of cute hearts scattered around. Just leave it at that. Here I have a piece of pattern paper over cardstock again, and I noticed that there's always a couple of themes that you can pull out from the die cuts or the chipboard. So the chipboard says happy day, so I found a bunch of die cuts that look like birthday themed die cuts. We have a slice of cake, some balloons, and candles, and these sequins are a really nice touch to add just a little bit of shine to this card, and it kind of looks like confetti along with that pattern paper background with all of those rainbow dots. I loved this watercolor look of that pattern paper. I put some white cardstock on top, but I made it small enough that you could see that pattern paper in the background. For these types of stickers, if you want to place them and you're not sure where yet, I like to cut out the background too so that I can move them around before I peel them off their acetate background and place them on my card. So just a fun way to include a bunch of those phrase stickers in kind of a grid format, and then add in a whole bunch of little arrows and stars and some hearts from these puffy stickers just to fill in those white spaces a little bit more. Next up, we have 2 pieces of pattern paper matted on top of each other and a whole bunch of the floral die cuts. So there are some birthday die cuts and then there are a ton of florals. So I pulled out a bunch of those and some leaves, and I'm just putting them all together in the center of the card to create this big puffy bouquet. And then I'll take one of the stickers and take the stick off the back by using anti-static powder tool brushed onto it. This way I can pop it up. I wanted to be able to stand out from all of those flowers in the background, so I wanted to use foam adhesive behind it, and it really just worked perfectly that way. It just was a great centerpiece to all those popped up flowers. For this card, I have a white piece of cardstock on a piece of yellow pattern paper and a couple of stickers that were rainbows. So it says, believe in yourself, the yourself is a rainbow. I have a rainbow chipboard sticker and then some colors of hearts and stars around that. The wax seal kit of the month has these gorgeous peachy pink wax beads. I put 4 of them in my little wax melter there. It also has this mandala wax seal stamp. If you didn't get the wax seal kit last month, try and grab it now. I am loving getting new wax beads and a new stamp each month. I think that is a great way to add to your stash of wax seals. So I had 4 little beads in there. I probably could have started with 5. This circle ended up being a little small, so I ended up with just a very tight circle near the mandala. That's okay. I think it worked out fine, but I decided to go a little bit more for the second one. So I like that edge around it a little bit. This one looked really great, and you can cut off that one extra edge, but I just like the way they look. It just looks more homemade and homespun. So for the second one, I did have a little bit more wax to work with, and you'll kind of figure that out as you go along when you need more wax or less wax. You can see I have a little wooden toothpick there for stirring the wax. I also love having these deco pens in paint pens in metallics. I have gold and I have silver, and they have kind of a flat tip, a bullet flat tip, so that you can really easily paint on the raised area of your wax seal. See how easily I'm just kind of coating it, and it just ends up sitting on the areas of the wax seal that are raised, and that just really helps it stand out. I love both of these. I think they both came out great. So this is a fun kit to have. Next up is the 3D embossing folder of the month. It is a great floral design. Some large flowers, some smaller flowers. I put Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide ink all over it, and then put a piece of A2 white cardstock on top, and it debossed on this side. So I have the ink set into the paper, and I tied a little bit of Spellbinders twine around that panel that I embossed and inked, and now I have that wax seal. And I love these wax seal adhesive circles. I know they might be out of stock right now. Just sign up for notification. They are great for adhering down the wax seal to your cardstock or other paper project. I have this Sending Hugs sentiment. It is from a Spellbinders and Simon Hurley set of foil and dies that cuts out a bunch of sentiments, and that is just a really easy way to use that embossing folder and wax seal together. The same embossing folder I wanted to show a different way. So on the flip side of the cardstock where it's popped up, I ink blended just on those large flowers. Again, I have that wax seal adhesive circle, and I place it down on the back of the wax seal. I kind of like to rub it a little bit with my nail just to make sure that the adhesive sticks to the wax, and then they have a little tab that you can pull. So just make sure that the adhesive is down on the wax, and then pull the tab and remove it, and then you can lay it down on your project, and it really makes it so easy to adhere these. Again, I have another one of those sentiments from the Spellbinders Simon Hurley set. This one says thinking of you, and I'm using that kind of rose gold foil. Here's the Glimmer kit of the month. Speaking of foil, it's got a very large beautiful bouquet look of flowers and a sentiment. So I like to tape down my foil to my cardstock so it doesn't slide around, place the plates on top, and then slide out that platform from the base. And then check this out. What a great design. I love how this looks foiled. It is absolutely gorgeous. And here is the sentiment that you can use with it. So I'll just use a smaller piece of foil taped down to the cardstock. Same thing, pull out the platform from the base. I mentioned recently that the new Glimmer machine is much easier to remove that platform from the base. There is an add-on that you can get with the Glimmer kit this month. and it is a stencil set that will color in this image. So I have it down on my grip mat from Waffle Flower, and I'm using some Distress Oxide spun sugar to fill in the flowers, and then the Distress Oxide mowed lawn to fill in the leaves. And you can see I use shader brushes for those smaller areas so that I can just contain the ink where I want it on the stencil. The grip mat holds the stencil and the cardstock in place. And I love these types of stencil sets that color in really gorgeous flowers and bouquets because it makes it look like you did a ton of work, even though it was really easy. So I find ink blending just fun and relaxing, and just you're able to get it done a lot quicker than if you were to color it with markers or pencils or anything like that. And just check out how easy it is to pull this image together with a few different colors of ink and some brushes. And there you go. It's absolutely gorgeous. The last stencil has just those other leaves, so I changed my green to cracked pistachio to make the stems and those other leaves. And I just love this image. I love it colored in. I love it plain with the foil. It's so much fun. I did trim it down to 4x5 1/4 and placed it on some pink cardstock. And now I'll cut down that sentiment to a rectangle and pop that up right on the card. Last but not least, I love adding a few Spellbinders pearls as accents for that gorgeous glimmer background. Next up is the BetterPress Kit of the month. This also, the BetterPress Kit, sold out very quickly last month. So if you want it now, I would grab it right away as soon as you can. So I have done some watercoloring on the cotton cardstock that you use for BetterPress. I've also done a little bit of marker coloring, so I thought I would do some really light ink blending. I have Distress Oxide in spun sugar and squeezed lemonade, and then a little bit of Kitsch Flamingo just to add a little bit more pink and finality to the colors around the edges, because I felt like it was kind of, the pink was getting lost a little bit. Now for the BetterPress, you'll just tape it down to the A2 area. There's also an A7 area on this clear plate. Once you have that done, you put the BetterPress plate onto the magnet plate, and that's a platform, actually, a magnet platform, and you ink it up. I'm going to ink the image up with black ink, and then I can place the sentiment right next to the image or up above or down below, and it will stay in place because it's a magnet. Then there are magnets on all 4 sides, and so the clear plate will magnetize down. Then you run it through your die cut machine, and when you take it out, check it out. Gorgeous letterpressed details on this card, and it looks so pretty over an ink blended background. So I'm definitely going to add that technique to a fun way to use the BetterPress plates. For this next card, I'm going to use the embossing folder of the month, but first I want to ink blend a rainbow on this background. Just using regular white cardstock here and ink blending some Distress Oxide ink in Kitsch Flamingo. I'm going to do a little rainbow, and I have the grid line pieces from the grip mat, using those as masks so that I can have my rainbow be an exact line from color to color. So I have Kitsch Flamingo, then Wild Honey, Squeezed Lemonade, Mowed Lawn, and finally Tumbled Glass. If you've seen me do rainbows before, this is probably very familiar to you. These are some of my favorite colors. Here's the embossing folder of the month. I think those arcs just made me think rainbow, so I thought that would go well together. I grabbed a die cut from the card kit of the month, and then I also have a sentiment that I glimmered from the Spellbinder Simon Hurley set that I love so much. I cut that all down to 4x5 1/4 and matted it on some white cardstock and called it a day. There's so much interest to it. Don't think you need to add more. Okay, for the small die of the month, I'm actually going to show you all of the pieces because there are a bunch of teeny tiny little pieces. So I just want to share that it's very easy to put together, even for somebody who doesn't have a lot of patience like me. So first I started with the swing. It's 2 pieces so that it has kind of a shadow. And then here's the dress. You can cut out the little hello from the dress. I decided to back it with white cardstock. Probably wasn't the best idea because there are a couple of pieces that are cut out of the dress for you to put the hands in. So I had to make do. Here is the underneath of the dress, and then there are 2 different legs. You glue them together and then you glue them under that sort of curve of the dress. It's pretty obvious that they fit there, so just put them right in. Now the head, you can put a little bit of liquid glue kind of at the base of the bust, and then it'll glue right behind the dress. Here's the hair. Again, it's got a notch cut in it, so you can put the head right into that notch and the hair will look perfect. The same thing with the hat. There's a notch for you to put that head and the hair in it. And here's the first hand. This one is okay for me because it goes behind. But the second one, I think you're supposed to put into the sleeve there. And I just had to trim my hand down so that it would look like it was coming out of the sleeve. I popped that whole thing up on the swing itself. There's also a brim for the hat, so I applied that. And you do that kind of over to the left-hand side here because on the right-hand side, you can add some flowers. So there's a whole bunch of leaves and little flowers. I cut all my leaves out of this light green cardstock and all the flowers out of a pink cardstock. And then there are also flower centers. I cut those out of gold mirror cardstock. So you can see I don't have a ton of patience for little itty bitties, but I am putting this together and it really starts to come together and look like this amazing image. So again, a little cluster of flowers on the dress as well. And you could always put a few more next to her on the swing or whatever you want. I thought this was enough. I'm calling it a day because as I said, I don't have the patience of a saint. Here I use the hello from the Spellbinders Simon Hurley Glimmer Sentiments that I love so much. And then there are 2 strings or ropes from the swing. I cut those out of gold mirror cardstock. I love the way that the gold mirror cardstock looks on some things that you wouldn't think it would be gold, but it just has a really beautiful and elegant look to it. Just trimmed off the excess of those ropes, and that is it. Really simple, even though it looks like a lot of work. It didn't take me time at all, and I love the outcome. Next up is the stitching die of the month. So these are all the dies you get. It is a very cool set. You get a background that I've cut out of white cardstock. Then you get that high for the center and then a bunch of flowers and leaves. I am popping up that background onto another piece of white cardstock. I just like the depth that it gives it when you can see the white behind it and there's a touch of a shadow. For some of these little tiny flowers, I did not stitch them. You can if you want to, but I thought they looked fine as is. And for the large high, I don't think that is actually stitching. I think it's just details from the die cuts. So here you can see the large flowers. You can go through the center and then loop around those sort of little petals, and it creates this kind of crisscross look on the front. So I did that for all of the larger flowers, and I did it for 4 of the leaves, and then I cut 4 more leaves out of the gold mirror cardstock. This way I figured those would stay not stitched. These smaller flowers, again, I cut them out of a peach cardstock. Those also are not stitched. But what you can do if the stitching is a little messed up or off center, you can use some type of embellishment. I'm using some Spellbinders Fashion Oyster pearls on the center of those. And then to cover the little hole on the leaves, I use some gold fashion embellishments from Spellbinders as well. I love the mix of stitching and knot and all those little details from the die. I hope that if you were interested in grabbing either the wax seal kit of the month or the BetterPress kit, that you're able to do that this month. I always love hearing what your favorite is though. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Glimmer? No, that's a lot of months. Maybe we should just say kit. Interested in dragging only 1 cup of coffee. Okay.